I just think, Matthew regretted it. He just, he was pretty decisive, I remember, when he first delivered the script to me. We'd been talking before that. This was a conversation that predated a script. But when the script arrived, he just chose that moment to tell me, after I'd been kind of committed for about a year, you die. And I was fine with that. I think, a spectacular death. Probably doesn't hurt your character's, punctuate your character's arc with a spectacular death. But I didn't think it was going to happen on page 60 or whatever. And so, when I read the first script, I was shocked. I didn't think that was the moment. I thought, okay, we think he's dead. And it was quite possible to think that, because there was no real follow-up. I mean, Harry does just disappear. We don't go to the funeral. We don't see an autopsy. We don't get a close-up of his body. And I thought, that's because he's not dead. And then as the whole of Act 3 went on without me, I thought, hey, guys, I've really gone. I'm not in the last act of this film. And so there was a feeling of being slightly hurt and left out. And I felt that again when I watched the film. And I thought, because I was so happy with the film. And I wasn't too happy to see Taron and Mark Strong steal the rest of it, really. So I've been resurrected, and that's something. And when Matthew saw the reactions to the first film, and also looking at how things had evolved on the set and our own relationships and the fact we'd all got on so well, it just felt right that somehow this is the team. And so then the problem was how. What do we do? Is it going to be a prequel? No, it's not going to be an evil twin. There are all sorts of rather obvious ways, because it's quite fashionable to bring people back from the grave these days. I mean, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, South Park, every episode practically. It's been going on for a while. And if you can be clever about it, people will buy it, hopefully. But the danger is then, you'll lower the stakes. Every time someone gets shot in the head or blown up, that's all right, everyone gets resurrected. You can't do that. So you have to be you've kind of spent your capital there if you do that once, I think. Well, I think so. I think it made it feel a bit less trite coming back. If I'd just sort of burst through a door perfectly formed, I think it would have, in some ways, it would have made, even in this heightened world, I think it would have strained credibility, and it would have made it less interesting for me, perhaps. And without wanting to give too much away about this one, I think I have to earn my way back, I think. I think we all have to earn that. And even where we've left it now, I think there's somewhere to go for a number 3. Oh, well, I feel very, very lucky to be in this, because I think Matthew has that quite unusual capacity to create a whole world around a film, around his own aesthetic. And, certainly it was his previous films that brought me here. And, it was Kick-Ass, which I thought was genius, and the very, very underrated Stardust. Layer Cake, I think they're very diverse. I think that he has a unique sense of humor. I think he can make things, intense, quite brutal, and then funny. It's brutal without being, he's not very splattery. I don't know if you've noticed, with all this violence, it's not really gore. It's not blood all over the walls. It's quite specific to him, so I think he's almost carving out his own genre, really. And I know, because I've been sitting with Jeff this morning, giving his reasons for being here, and it was the first film. He said it was the sheer, you become quite a critic when you're in this business. It's not easy. You can see what's wrong with an awful lot of other people's films, and your own. And when you see one that's been executed so well, you think that's the guy I want to work with.